Hello, beautiful soul, and welcome to another installment of Elevated Rambles. I'm your host, Natalie. I'm a bit low on supply today, so I shall be using my one hitter. If you feel so called, I invite you to get elevated with me. Giving much gratitude to this plant medicine, setting the intention for it to bring clarity and to help bring through the message that needs to come through in this moment, right? Or help bring through whatever inspired conversation needs to come through in this moment or would like to come through in this moment. Yeah. Ooh. Oh. Had a bottle of water sitting here ready and waiting to add to my cup. Can't add too much because my ice is like kind of at the bottom. I don't want it to melt at all. All right. So, today's elevated ramble, we're going to dabble into the conversation of extraterrestrials. Right? You know, with this I guess release of information that, I think we kind of already knew, people within I guess the realm of believing kind of, already knew a lot of this information. But definitely a positive step forward in letting people know, right? And, there's been some, backlash kind of on social media with regards to the releasing of this information, kind of an underwhelmed response, because people are struggling right now. People are experiencing a lot of very real hardships, and right now we're talking about aliens, right? So it's understandable that people are going to be like, I don't give a fuck, right? I need to pay my bills. I need to buy my groceries, Very understandable, but I think that's when the focus is on the aliens, I think for the most part, on some level, right, we must all, well, not all, many of us, right, on some level, keeping in mind that this is a vastly unexplored universe, right, from our perspective here on Earth, right? It's a vastly unexplored universe, right? And there's so many new things that we're discovering all the time, right? So the idea that in this vastly unexplored universe, we are the only sentient beings that exist, it doesn't make sense, right? It makes more sense that we're not alone in the universe. It makes more sense that these millions of people that have come forward with different experiences and information, it makes more sense that these things are, that we're not alone in the universe. It makes more sense that aliens exist, right? That's the more logical belief, when you take everything into consideration, that's the most logical thing to believe, right? So the story isn't the fact that aliens exist or that there are UAPs and different anomalies that are being investigated and explored, right? That's not the story. I think the story is that we are existing within a system, right? With leaders that have lied to us consistently for decades, right? Decades. This isn't new information. These are things that have been in existence for decades, right? A lot of the information in the hearing are things that I have definitely heard about through just my own personal research, right? Things that people automatically cast aside as just crazy or ridiculous. People's livelihoods have been completely disrupted and destroyed because they have been cast aside as crazy for trying to share their truth, trying to share their stories, right? So we exist within a government that has lied bold face for decades consistently, right? If they're going to lie about this, right, what else are they going to lie to us about, right? Under the guise of it being for our protection, right? Because we're not intelligent enough to make decisions for ourselves. We're not intelligent enough to handle this very delicate information, right? Because somehow they are superhuman. They can handle the information, but we cannot, right? And the thing is that democracy, it can't work if we're not all on a kind of equal playing field, right? Yes, we select people to hold office, right? But we select them to be our representative, right? To be there for us, to represent our voice, right? Not to tell us what we want or what we need or what's best for us, right? We're supposed to be a part of all of that process, right? But that's just not the way it's operated. There's just so much gatekeeping, right? I think that's a word that I've been hearing a lot lately, right? So I'm going to use it because it came in my head. But there's just this gatekeeping of information, the idea that knowledge is power. That's facts. He who has the knowledge has the power, right? Because they control the narrative, right? If aliens have existed for all this time, and they have, and our government knew about it, was aware of it, and the levels to which they are aware are probably even, well, not probably, are very much so deeper than expressed, right? But I don't know. It's like my brain just keeps jumping around, right? But I just think it's really important that we pay attention to the right aspects of the story, right? The story is not about aliens, right? That part is the distraction. The actual story is the fact that our government has been and continues to lie to us, right? The story is that we exist within a system where those that we have elected to lead and to hold office deny us access to information that is relevant to us, right? You think about the fact that aliens exist. What does that truth do to religion, right? How does that fall into place? How do all the stories throughout, you know, time, how do those fall into place, right? What are all the belief structures that start to break down once we really sink into what these truths really mean, right? Allowing ourselves to open up our minds a bit, right? Think deeper, look deeper, right? And not just deeper into the situation, but deeper into yourself, right? And the more you look within yourself, the more you'll find a lot of the answers that we're all seeking right now, right? You know, aliens are actually what got me on my personal healing journey, right? I mean, amongst other things, but during the COVID lockdowns, I got very into, extraterrestrials and watching different documentaries. I think it started with this episode of Unsolved Mysteries on Netflix. One of the episodes was about a mass abduction event that occurred with multiple people having experiences of abduction on the same night around like different parts of different states. Two states in particular, I think. I don't remember where, but from a large area, right? Lots of people calling in, witnessing UAPs, calling into radio stations, calling into the police, right? But somehow none of that information or reports, none of those reports exist anymore, right? But I digress. That episode kind of got me on my, rabbit hole ride into extraterrestrials. And it was on that journey that I discovered meditation, because I was in a room on this app called Clubhouse, and the topic was, like alien experiences, UFOs, extraterrestrials, whatever it was, right? And they were talking about, different ways that you can connect with extraterrestrials, right? And they're talking about specific types of meditation and things like that. And I remembered I was YouTubing, different meditations with the intention of wanting to connect with extraterrestrials. And in my search for, different kinds of meditation, there was a room on Clubhouse, Earth Day meditation. And I started to join the meditation in that room. There are actually a couple other meditations I joined before, but I don't remember where I was going with this story. But aliens brought me to meditation, and meditation brought me within myself, which kind of, brought me on this journey of healing, right? And unlocking different aspects of myself, and kind of deepening into that remembrance, remembrance of self, of who I am and who I am in relation to all, right? That connection that we all share, and kind of really really settling into that, I lost my train of thought. um, but yeah, it was actually aliens that brought me towards healing. They guided the way. It was my star brothers and sisters. Thank you. But yeah, I'm trying to think what else it is that I wanted to. Oh, you know what else I also I think there's always an agenda, right? With everything, when it comes to information that's released, there's always an agenda, right? There's a reason, Perhaps there is, kind of a push to distract people from the very real things that they're going through in this moment, trying to get them to, not be complaining about the poor state of things in this current moment, not realizing the downward spiral that we are currently on, so there's definitely a pull to distract in that area, but then there's also a desire to control the narrative. Maybe perhaps there's information that they have about things coming in the future, right? And in order to get ahead of that narrative, they need to ensure that we understand that this is a national security risk, right? Because, of course, they're going to need our support in defending we, the people, right? But I think that would be a false narrative, I think just as with people, with all beings, you're going to have those that have good intentions, right? And those that don't, right? Those that are, with the intention of creating chaos, And I think it's important that we're open to the idea that what is out there does not want to harm, I know in the hearing they brought up a few times the fact that they're able to destabilize different equipment and, render certain radars and defenses useless, right? And kind of, in a sense, letting us know that, this is definitely a national security risk. Look, they can take down our defenses. They can, and my thing is, if there was any intention to harm, it would have happened, right? The demonstration that, hey, we can destabilize your defenses, we can take away your radar, we can render absolutely all of these playthings that you guys have as useless, right? Letting us know, like, hey, I can do that, but I'm not hurting you. I'm not doing anything, right? Just letting you know that I'm a bit more advanced, Just don't try anything. Like, it's pointless. You don't need to, but I'm definitely certain that there's a push to create a narrative that would have us supporting some kind of defense against an external being, right? Reason to add more money to a defense budget, or, so it's important that we kind of, think about those things as well. What are their intentions? Because there's always an agenda, right? There's always a reason. They're not going to just give us information for nothing, right? Yeah. I can't remember where I was going to go with that. Yeah. Definitely be interested to know what your thoughts are. Not sure if I had anything else. So, I believe I shall be signing off with a puff. Yep. I itch my nose. Yes. All right. Yeah. Yeah. I think I guess I'll just close by saying it's so important that we question those that are in power, questioning those that we are entrusting to protect us, to lead us, right? Can we trust them, right? If they have been knowingly lying to us for decades, and I was saying earlier, at least here in the States, we have so many people in office that have been there for decades, right? And, you kind of wonder, like why, why would you even want to be in there for that long? Like, yeah, I know you want to be able to, but at some point, from every job, you want to retire, right? You want to be able to just live and be and not have the stress of work anymore, right? So how are they all just staying there for so long, And my theory, and this is just my, this is not based in any fact or anything. This is just my own personal observation, is that they're there for that long because there are secrets that they need to keep, right? And they are literally taking those secrets to their grave, or at least they're trying to wait it out as long as they can so they don't have to face the repercussions of those, whatever it is that they're hiding, right? There are a lot of secrets, a lot of things that are kept from us, the people, right? The people that they're supposed to be serving, right? So it's so important that we question them. We question if, this is even the best system for us, right? Is it really working for us? Are we thriving within this system? Who is it actually serving? Who is thriving right now? Who isn't affected by the ridiculous inflation, right? There are people that benefit within this struggle that we're experiencing. right? So it's important that we question. We question everything. And we question whether or not they actually have our best interests at heart, right? Yeah, I'm sure there are people with good intentions that go in truly believing that they're going to make a change. But this system was created to run the way it's running, right? And within that system, they have embedded loopholes that serve them and the people that fill their pockets, the corporations that fill their pockets, right? You look at Sinad, who was widely criticized for speaking out against the Catholic Church. And then years later, we find out perhaps she was on to something, right? The church and the illusion that it's separate from state, right? Church of Scientology, right? There's so much, and you think of conspiracy theories, right? What is a conspiracy theory? It's important that when you're on the outside of the conspiracy theory and you're looking in at all these crazy people, it's important to dig deep into it, right? For the grain of truth. Because yes, in conspiracy theories, there are going to be pieces that just, just don't make any sense. And that's a huge part of it, right? You have a truth that someone wants to be hidden, right? What's the best place to hide it? In plain fucking sight, right? I am going to hide this information from you by telling you this information with a whole bunch of crazy ass shit that makes absolutely no sense so that you will not believe any of it, right? So if I tell you that, there's a huge child trafficking ring, right? And that the government is in on it, Hollywood is in on it, the church is in on it. Like, it's this whole big thing, right? If I tell you that, a lot of the information is going to make sense. But if I add in, some extra things, some pizzazz, some spices, some reptilians and blood drinking ceremonies and all these other pieces of information that, hey, within the realm of what's possible in this universe, hey, that could all be true as well. And, we're just not there yet. But if I add all these things that just sound absolutely ridiculous on top of it, then I'm not going to, people aren't going to listen to, so the best way to hide the information is to tell you up front, but add a whole lot of shit to it to make sure that you don't believe it, right? So it's to actually give you the information, but make sure that you're going to look crazy if you believe it, right? Because people don't want to look crazy. People don't want people to think that they're crazy. Like, so there's some people that probably did believe certain things, but just wouldn't admit it because, if you're associated with believing certain things and you're just kind of cast aside as insane, right? But the fact of the matter is that there is a huge child trafficking issue, right? There's a huge child trafficking, human trafficking ring that incorporates yep. That incorporates whew, Hollywood, lots of different people in the government, Catholic Church. I mean, look at the Catholic Church, right? And I know I am jumping all around the place, but listen, I'm just going with it. But look at the Catholic Church, right? Look at all the things that have been discovered going on within the Catholic Church, yet still it holds so much power, right? Literally hundreds of thousands, if not millions, of children that have been molested by Catholic priests. And they're still on top. It doesn't make sense, right? Okay, because they have power, right? Power. All these sources of information, all these narrative creators, right? You get the different narratives from the government, and it's kind of, corroborated with the news media, right? Like, all of it is meant to keep our focus in a specific direction, right? You think of the Matrix. It's not like in the movie where, a part of us is hooked up in this like machine pod thing, right? It's where our focus is going, right? So think of your focus as the tentacles that are connecting us to this machine that is the Matrix, right? And we're so tuned into what the news is telling us what to be afraid of, right? It's all just controlling the narrative. And I know that I'm like all over the place right now. Bear with me. Yeah. It's just, conspiracy theories. There's always a grain of truth. There's always a grain of truth. And I mean, as much as, like movies and TV has also kind of shaped the way that we think. There's also a lot of information that we can receive from it, right? So it's about being able to discern, right? To use your discernment. A lot of the times, the things that carry some truth are things that are presented as fantastical or fantasy, right? But those things draw us in more because our souls feel truth in it, right? You ever like go and watch a superhero movie and you just get so engrossed in it and you just feel, you feel like you're in it, and it's like I can't explain it, but there's truth within those, right? But allowing yourself to use your discernment and to trust your intuition as you're guided towards the truth, right? Because different people are going to tell you different things. Don't believe anyone. Don't even believe me, right? Don't take my word for it. Don't take anyone's word for it. Do your research, right? Read. Go within, right? Go within. The knowledge that you have within yourself is more than you can receive from anywhere outside of you, right? Meditate and go within. There's so many answers that are there. But do your own research, right? Make up your own mind, right? Allow yourself to really take a step back and ask yourself, is this my fight? Am I really mad at this? Is this something that I'm truly upset about, or am I holding on to somebody else's anger, right? Am I just going along with someone else's truth, right? Focus in on you. We're so focused on what everybody else is doing, what other people are doing. Let people be people. That's it. Just let people be people. Allow people to be. Right? We're so fucking distracted by all these non-important things. Right? That's the distraction. Right? Whatever it is that you're angry about that someone else is doing, right? That if you are angry about how someone else is living their life, that's a distraction, right? Someone wants you to be angry about that. Someone wants you to be so focused on that, because then you're not focused on the other shit that's happening, right? You're not focused on the people that are in power that are lying to us constantly, have been for decades, right? So take a step back from whatever argument that you're in, right? Are you really mad at that person, that human being, right? Whose only crime at the moment is living and existing, right? Are you really mad at them? Do you really hate them? Or is there something within yourself that you might need to show love to show compassion to, right? Is there some love that's needed here within you, right? Allowing yourself to let go of the focus of anyone outside of you and recognize that right now your heart needs you, right? The hate that we project outwards, the anger that we project outwards, it's all representative of how we feel within ourselves, right? So allow yourself the gift of showing yourself some love, right? Because you're worthy of it, regardless of what you believe, regardless of what side of whichever fence you're on. You're worthy of love. You're worthy of compassion. You're worthy of being heard, right? but so is everyone else, right? We all are. We're all worthy of love. We're all worthy of taking up some space. We're all worthy of existing. And there's so much more that we need to do to move forward as a collective, as a community, right? But we have to start allowing people to be, right? So that we can start allowing ourselves to be, right? You know, we've spent so long taking on other people's fights, right? So I've got to let go of them now. It's time to let go. All right. A complete 180. All right. With that, I believe I am complete. Definitely went all over the place with this one. But if you made it this far, sending so much love, so much gratitude. Yeah. Yeah. Sending so much love, so much gratitude. Allow yourself to be open to receive.